Dude, how are we gonna talk about this movie for like an hour?
Why would we talk about it for an hour? This movie doesn't deserve that. Wait, sorry to give it away, but if you look at the video link of this and you think, oh, Frankenstein versus the Mummy, that must be a bestseller.
New York Times bestseller, like the novelization of it.
Oh my god.
Beats Mary Shelley's work out of the water. The addition of the Mummy is a true twist. Wait, you realize they just took the Frankenstein plot and threw in a mummy?
Yeah.
The fuck? Who wrote this shit?
They tried combining the two original classic monster movies.
I don't see what Aborigines has to do with this.
Oh my god.
Black Africans?
Well.
Welcome back to another episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Bloody. Usually I do that in the background, but whatever.
Who gives a shit?
I know. Who gives a shit? Just like this movie.
Yes.
Who gives a shit? If you clicked on this right now, simply because you saw the title of the movie we're reviewing, either A, you have no life, 2, you're very interested in what this movie's about,
or you're just very fascinated by train wrecks.
I suppose so. This is the Sharknado type of horror movie we're looking at. We're dealing with Sharktopus
You went
levels of a B movie.
Yes.
This is peculiar because you know what though? I don't even know where to begin. Should we just talk about this movie?
Well, first off,
Yes.
we forgot to introduce ourselves.
Oh my.
Derek Brown.
Cody Bowden.
Yes.
Now that that's out of the way.
Oh, formalities aside.
Oh my god.
This piece of shit.
Yes.
Frankenstein meets the Mummy.
That was a Franken fucking nightmare.
Oh, yes, it was.
Jesus Christ. So,
I thought Frankenberry was terrible.
Frankenberry? The cereal?
It's been years.
Let's back up for a second. Okay, you know, this movie has got me in such a tizzy.
Frankentizzy?
Frankentizzy. I really don't know what to... I mean, usually we do talk a little bit about whatever, but I don't know, this movie's just sucked the life out of me. Like, earlier, we sat down and started recording, and we actually had recorded about an hour of us just talking, and none of it had to do with the Frankenstein versus the Mummy.
Other than just how many stupid Franken puns we could make.
Yeah, too Franken many, to be honest with you. I'm getting pretty Franken sick of them, man. Okay?
Some mummy needs to shut us up.
Oh my god. I'm going to knock some frankincense into you, man. Jesus Christ.
Frankincense is what they gave to Jesus, man.
Thank you, Derek, for pointing that out.
Oh, jeez.
And Jesus wept.
Oh.
But no, like I said, we literally we just didn't know how to talk about this movie, and we started a new track on our audio mixer, and we said, all right, let's just start talking about it, and here we are, avoiding
talking about it.
Still.
Because if anything, it's just going to hurt heads.
Oh, God, yeah. So I don't even know. We're not even looking at an hour episode. You know, who knows? Maybe we'll get there, but god damn.
If we do, it's still going to be way shorter than the goddamn movie.
Okay. Well, Derek, would you like to give the audience, right off the bat, some background on this movie, what it's about, essentially, directors, anything like that? And I would like to talk a little bit after that about the incredulously positive reviews that this movie has actually received from various websites.
All right, so according to the blurb on the back,
yes,
Dr. Victor Frankenstein and Egyptologist Naila Khalil.
What's her last name?
Khalil.
They never say it, so it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. Are both professors at a leading medical university. Coincidence. Victor's latest grisly experiment, quote-unquote, is the reanimated corpse of a sadistic madman, and Naila's most recent find is the cursed mummy of an evil pharaoh. When the two monsters face off in an epic showdown...
Yeah, that's
epic.
No.
No one is safe from the slaughter. Can the murderous rampage be stopped and the carnage contained before it's too late? Well, this blurb is lying. Because... No, at no point during that showdown did really it turn into a murderous rampage
Well, we'll talk
or a
about
slaughter.
that. Oh, for sure. Well, I don't know. There's kind of a lot of murder in this movie, but still. So, Rotten Tomatoes gave this movie a 0%, simply because it has not been rated yet. But
Ooh.
if anything else, they did not want to rate it because that would require them watching the movie. And if they're anything like me after seeing it, I will never subject myself to such torment. I'd rather be Frankenfucked in the Franken ass for 5 Franken minutes, you know,
Oh, God.
than watch this movie again.
Again.
Yeah. Not that it was that Franken bad, but none the Franken less, you know.
Because let's be franken.
Let's be frank. Let's be frank. But IMDb actually gave this movie a 71%, which is higher than one of my favorite horror movies.
Oh, God, which one is that?
1408.
Wow.
I know.
You told me earlier it got a higher rating than the movie we were originally going to review.
Death Dream? Oh, yes.
Death Dream.
It did, by 1%.
Which,
I just checked.
by 1%?
By 1%.
Okay, that's not so bad. I thought it was like a wash.
Yeah. Maybe it's because it's newer. I mean, I don't know. We haven't seen Death Dream yet, so I cannot point flaws out to you. Is it good?
I've seen Death Dream. I think it's good for what it was back in the 70s.
Well, we'll take a look at it next week for sure. But anyway, yeah. So this movie, it's pretty praised for what it is, and I could kind of see why there are a lot of elements in this that we're going to talk about that were pretty good. But as a whole, what do you expect from a movie called Frankenstein versus the Mummy?
Nothing.
I know, that's the thing. But actually, I don't know. We were talking about this earlier. Like, there were previews in this movie that were like, there was one for a movie called Wolf Cop.
Oh, boy.
Half man, half werewolf, like, all cop or whatever.
Boy, is that going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
If we can ever find that.
Oh, dude, we gotta. But the thing is, it's like, you always see these movies that, they're like the fake movies almost, like, you know, like Werewolves versus Zombies 6, you know, Return of the Slaughterhouse. Like bullshit that you'd see in the background of like other movies. Like they pretend that they're actually playing. Those movies would be actually really fun to see.
Yeah.
And if this movie here was truly Frankenstein and the Mummy kicking the shit out of each other, that would have been awesome.
And really, I could have watched this movie at any point in time when it was made. Like, if it was made back in the 30s, the 50s, anything, you could have sold me on that.
But the prime time era, 80s, right? That's when they had that stupid shit, you know? Like, like Monster Hunter, what is it called? The Monster Hunter Squad or whatever?
Monster Squad,
Monster Squad, yeah. Like, that's the kind of era of movie that this would be excellent in.
Like, I know they did that a lot back in the day. Like, after they initially made Wolfman, The Mummy,
But Derek,
Creature from the Black Lagoon, they put everybody together in, like, House of Dracula and House of Frankenstein. Those were bad.
But in this era, Derek, in this post 9/11 economy,
oh jeez,
we cannot have any campy shit. Everything has to have a serious dreadlock storyline, like fucking Dark Knight or something.
It has to go all out or all in. It cannot go halfway like this bullshit.
Why does everything have to have like a gritty urban background now? Really, I'm getting really sick of it. You know?
That's why I like that the Marvel films are only PG-13.
Yeah. Well,
because you need some kind of lighthearted fun.
Well, did you see anything from the new Frankenstein that's going to come out? He's like wearing like a sweater. He looks like looks like a dude. Yeah, no, he just looks like a guy with like a fucked up face.
I'm still excited for that Frankenstein when it comes out.
I know.
James McAvoy and Daniel Radcliffe.
I Frankenstein, right? Is that what you're thinking?
No. That came out last year in theaters.
Did that?
And I heard it was bad.
Was I looking at the wrong movie then?
Probably.
What's the one that's coming out then?
This one's just called Frankenstein.
I thought,
or Victor Frankenstein.
Maybe. Either way, that one looked bad.
I'm excited.
That's the one I was browsing through. That's why I was like glancing at some of these movies, and I thought that was one you're talking about. I'm glad it's not though, because that did not look very good, and not in the way that this doesn't look good. In the way that like it's trying to be like urban, you know.
It's all. I think it's made with the same people from Underworld's.
Yeah, exactly.
Production.
Like the Uwe Boll movies.
No, the ones with Kate Beckinsale.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's Uwe Boll.
Maybe. I don't know.
The Blood Rain series.
No. Those are two different things.
Oh my!
I can't believe that one got a sequel. Blood Rain.
Oh yeah.
Oh
no,
Jesus.
Underworld. I know what you're talking about now. Oh my gosh, I'm so out of it. Oh,
See
God.
what these bad movies do to you, Cody.
Exactly. But hey...
That's why I'm so insane. I've seen too many stinkers of fucking movies.
That's true. On a side note, Derek, to cheer things up a bit. So, hopefully this month, along with the monsters being resurrected, so will your love. I'm just kidding. That's bullshit. I can't think of any segue into it. Valentine's Day is coming up. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
This is, ironically, this episode will be filled with the most hate towards a movie on the day of St. Valentine. I can't believe that.
Might as well. Because neither of us are going to have plans, unfortunately.
No, exactly. I mean, what are you doing on Valentine's Day?
Fuck. Somewhere between fuck and all.
Yeah.
So.
Day off, just another day off, huh?
Yeah.
But this is not the day for single people. This is definitely the day for couples that have definitely already had an established relationship or really cheesy first dates.
Oh, boy.
That is all that's going to happen today. Cheesy first dates and couples doing fuck all. Me, though, I will be working all day. I'm at work all day, which fucking blows. But, so is...
I think that's the only thing I got on you for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Is I get to not work. But I'm still miserable.
I'm going to be even more miserable. Because not only will I, even if I really cared about that stuff, I have to see it all day at my store.
Yeah.
And then I got to get last minute customers going, I need a bouquet of flowers for my darling. And I'll be like, your darling? And he'd be like, I said, my darling. And, I'm touching Derek with my mind right now.
Oh, please.
Yeah, I don't know. You should visit me, though. I'll be killing myself.
Probably.
I'll be killing myself with, streamers.
Man, I would have...
Pink and red streamers.
Had I known you were going to be stranded at your job on Valentine's Day, I would have waited to buy these freaking packs of chiller classics then. Because, audience, I bought a 30-pack of movies and a 20-pack of movies when I went to go buy this Frankenstein and the Mummy.
If you thought he already had enough movies, this is insane, Derek.
I'm probably going to throw all these to Goodwill when I'm done with them.
It's at least 1,200 hours of movie.
Of the packs?
Do you understand that?
Let me see this.
Let's assume each movie is just 1 hour long.
So, the 20 movie pack...
200 hours.
28 hours of the 20 pack. And then the 30 is 42 hours.
That 20 pack of movies is only 28 hours long?
Over 28 hours. And then each of these 15 to the 30 pack is over 21.
So some of those movies aren't even an hour long.
They're just barely an hour long. I think the shortest one is King of the Zombies, which I've already seen, and it's an hour and 7 minutes.
Wow. Well, that's not so bad then, is it? But let's
no,
talk about this movie. This movie, something that should have been a campy fight, is borderline 2 hours long.
That should never happen.
We watched Frankenstein versus the Mummy for 2 hours, and Frankenstein only fought the Mummy for a whopping 2.5 minutes.
That's almost as bad as the Godzilla movie that came out last year.
Yeah.
Except we didn't even get a high beam blast down the throat of the other monster.
That was a pretty cool scene.
That made up for the whole wait, dude.
I don't know. I actually kind of enjoyed that. It was better than the last Godzilla movie, if you remember anything about that. With Ferris Bueller.
He was not that bad in it. Come on.
Yeah, that's true.
It was Godzilla that ruined everything in Godzilla.
Nonetheless, let's start talking about this movie, shall we?
As the blurb gave away, Victor Frankenstein, or in this movie right up until the very end, Professor F.
Yeah, he goes by Professor F or just Victor, like the entire movie.
Yeah, so when it opens up on him teaching a class and he's like, my name is Professor F, I was expecting someone to stand up and be like, I've got a question for you, Dr. Frankenstein. And then he just turns around and goes, that's Frankenstein.
It's Frankenberg. Jesus.
I wanted it so bad to happen, but
Yeah.
you see, that's just the wrong Frankenstein movie.
Well,
and I'd rather be watching Young Frankenstein.
Honestly, yeah, really.
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
I think that's my favorite Frankenstein movie ever.
We were making so many jokes during this movie. We honestly should have done this review like Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
Just because of how many times we blurbed out something stupid about it. This is the movie you would do that to anyway, though.
Yeah.
But either way.
This is definitely the movie to watch with a group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
if you watch it by yourself, you're going to be a miserable fuck.
Yes, definitely. So this scientist, well, actually no, I should say doctor, professor. I don't really know.
Reverend.
What does he Franken do? Frank all, man.
He teaches.
He teaches.
He teaches the youth.
Who does he teach?
Who honestly don't look much younger than him.
Yeah. No, this is like the youngest looking guy. This guy looks like he's in like mid-20s, and he's apparently a college professor that is excelling in chemistry. I mean, the class he's teaching is philosophy, which baffles me because he does so much with chemicals throughout this movie and surgery. And I don't know, he's just way too young to even try to do something like this.
Yeah.
You know? In every portrayal of Dr. Frankenstein in any movie, really, he's quite old.
He's at least in his mid-30s in all those movies, but
he's
he looks like he's barely older than me.
Yeah, he walked off the set of 21 Jump Street, this guy. Seriously.
Pretty much.
I expected Channing Tatum to stand there with him and just be like, you know.
Yo, I'm Igor.
My name is Jed. My name is Igor.
I had mentioned this to Cody. I thought it was very disillusioning that Mr. Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, Reverend, was freaking like most of the movies that have the doctor in it portray him to be this sickly, greasy nerd linger, you know? But this guy looked like you said, right off of 21 Jump Street.
He looked like he looked like Grand Theft Auto 4, Nico Bellic.
Oh, God.
I expected, like, when his phone rings, he's like, Nico, let's go bowling. Not now, Roman, I'm busy.
Not now, Roman, I'm too busy building body.
And
he wears that? Nothing.
He wears a leather jacket, too, and he's got that haircut.
He's an asshole.
He looks just like Nico. So, Nico, Dr. Nico Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So he's talking to his classroom, and by the way, I'm just going to say this right now. Do not expect me to explain anything or tell you anything about what the characters are saying in this movie because it's 2 hours long, it's all filler, and that it's crazy how much they just talk about nothing.
Yeah.
I wanted to kill myself.
There were several scenes where he's talking with Nyla. She's teaching history, but she has a real focus on Egypt.
Well, yeah. But hold on, let me just say real quick disclaimer: don't see this movie because you think it'd be funny. I encourage you not to watch it simply because it is actually really boring. So there's not much to talk about, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because most of it is, like I just said, padded filler, just of them talking about nothing. I mean, for Christ's sakes, he's a philosophy teacher in the beginning.
It's a romance film.
It's basically a romance, yeah. It really is. It really
Which
is.
just so happens to have a guy going around and killing people in the background.
Oh, yeah. Murderous. But like you were saying, though, this is kind of... He talks for a bit, bullshit, whatever, who cares? And then we go to another scene where it introduces our female lead, Nyla.
Let's go with Nyla.
Yeah, it is Nyla. I just can never remember for some reason. And she is, like you said, teaching in Egypt, like a history class.
Yeah, mostly focusing on Egypt. And it's really funny. The funny part about it is that basically all the students in her class agree with the theory that aliens built the pyramids.
Yeah, they're in a college level class, and for some really weird reason, they're in that class on their own will. They know exactly what they're getting into. They're probably interested in the subject as well because they're going on a fucking trip to Egypt.
Which we never get to see.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not even open to the idea that the Egyptians did this stuff themselves. They assume aliens.
This is not the History Channel, folks.
No, it's really weird. It's like it's almost as if you went into a middle school class and forced the kids to learn this stuff. That is not what's happening. These are adults that have chosen to take this course because they're interested in that path. I don't understand why they would be so resistant to the fact that history is history. That one guy is pissing me off. I need to stand up for just a minute. I can't think about this for too long.
He's Franken pissing you off.
Franken furious. I'm so Franken furious right now, Derek. Oh my God.
So,
Jesus Christ.
at the same time, Nyla's colleague,
Kill me.
This other professor who's like the creepiest old man I've seen in recent history.
Yeah, she works for this one guy that...
For Skeletor.
Yeah, he looks like, well, like you said, that one vulture from the Looney Tunes cartoons.
Yes.
Exactly. That's exactly what he looks like. But
he finds a mummy.
yeah, they find a mummy.
The long dead pharaoh
Ushenga?
Ursarak or some bullshit like that.
Ursula.
Might as well be.
Yeah, and this is when, like, I'm sure we're skipping a lot here, but honestly, who really cares? But that's when you're introduced to, like, that's when you see, like, the mummy for the first time. Mm-hmm. They have it in, like, this, I don't know.
Nursing clinic room.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And he's on basically, like, a morgue slab, essentially.
The whole movie.
Yeah, pretty much, like, half the movie, more than half, because this movie's fucking 2 hours long. He's just laying there on the morgue thing, being examined various times. And then I swear to God, it feels like we're skipping stuff, but there's nothing in between this but padding.
Yeah, the only thing of any kind of interest is the two, Nyla and Victor. Victor F. Just trying to romance each other.
Yeah, in between class periods, he'll run up and talk to her.
It's very fucking stale.
And like, she's like, why don't you take me on a real date? And he's like...
Take me on the real date. And then he's like, I want to tell you the story of how my mother killed herself.
Yeah, that's so fucking sad. But anyway, anyway, while the mummy is being introduced as a fucking mummy, it's just a dead guy. It's like, hey, look, here's the mummy in this movie. It's on the table being examined. By the way, we mentioned like 50 million times, the mummy in that movie looks something straight out of a Halloween store.
Yes.
Like, I was expecting like a spirit like price tag hanging off of his ear. Like, $10, Jesus Christ.
Fuck.
I ain't paying that.
They couldn't find the $5 mummy?
No.
But it was so painfully obvious. Like, I pointed it out like the third time we see the mummy, that anytime we get to actually see the mummy move.
Yeah.
Like, when the mummy's just lying there, the bandages are yellow. But when the mummy's about to do some crazy shit, the bandages are white.
Yeah, it's totally different. Like.
So it's obvious that there was a dummy, and then they switched him out for a dude in a mummy suit, but they didn't care enough to just age the bandages just a little bit.
Well, what they should have done was, like, have the actual actor in costume.
There the whole time.
Yeah, and film all the mummy scenes at once if it was really a problem. And they could have also filmed a fight scene at the same time, too, considering it's only 2 fucking goddamn minutes.
Yeah.
And that's the whole movie, too, which makes me so angry. Jesus.
The thing that makes the mummy come to life in this film, which is drastically different from the 1930s classic.
Before we talk about how these monsters come to be.
Oh, jeez.
Because, let me remind you, Derek, that's like an hour and a half into this movie. Let's talk about while the mummies are being introduced. You see Nyla's side of the story, the mummy and all that stuff. Let's talk about the Frankenstein side.
Oh, yeah. So, Victor is having this guy, I forget his name.
He's just this janitor, like really creepy janitor that he's...
Janitor by day, serial killer by night.
Yeah, really, no. It's very spooky. He says, I've got a project, and I need some organs, and I need a brain. He's the Igor in this movie.
And the dude's just like, you want gills? Like, just opens up his trench coat. And Victor's probably just like, no, please, just human brain. No goat brain. No, please. No,
he's not like foreign or anything. But
might as well.
I get your joke though. But he's pretty much saying like, go get me a brain. He's like, I don't care how. When we see each other in the hallway, you don't even look at me. I don't know you, because he's a janitor at the school he teaches in, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, all right, I'll get you a brain.
$5,000.
Yeah, pretty much $5,000 to get a brain. What he does not know is that he's getting $5,000 to this guy that's willing to kill someone for a brain.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't tell him to kill someone and take their brain. He just said get a fresh brain,
Well, how else was he going to do it? Go to the brain depository like in Young Frankenstein?
Yeah. I don't know either, but the point is, this guy is sick. He's going to kill a guy for, well, at first would be $5,000. He changes his deal later. But should we talk about the murder scene?
He goes and harasses a bum.
Yeah.
Like, goes up to him all friendly at first, like, oh, can I get some of that food, my friend?
And this scene's actually pretty hard to watch. This actually gave the movie a lot of points, in my opinion, because it was pretty chilling, honestly. It did not feel like I was watching Frankenstein versus a Mummy. I feel like I was watching some actually like decent movie about like some stray killer, But
Yeah,
either way,
this bum is nothing but nice to him.
yeah, he's very nice. He's giving him his food, and
He's just like, oh yeah, everything's just fine, I guess. Going to jail would be better than living at one of those homeless shelters.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes, well, I can do you one better, friend. Stab!
Yeah, he's like, I can help you out. I actually work. I'm not actually homeless at all. He's like, you're not? And he's like, no, I work at that college over there. And he's like, oh my God, well, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm going to help him. Yeah, what you said. I'm going to help you out. It just pulls out a big old kitchen knife, stabs him right in the stomach.
And kills him.
And it's so horrifying. You're like, oh my God, he killed that really, really nice homeless guy. What a fucking asshole. And then he pulls out a hacksaw and just starts cutting away at his forehead.
Because of course. How else are you going to get the brain? Just crack it open like an egg?
I thought he was going to cut his head off and bring him the brain, but it shows you him cutting his head open, No expenses spared here.
And that's a thing that the movie will get a point out of me for, is the special effects.
Oh, yeah.
Like the practical effects on these things, because God knows the CGI is horrendous.
Yeah. They didn't have any CGI in this movie. I'm very proud of this
fire.
movie. Oh, yeah. I almost forgot. But that's the very end. And it's only for a little bit, and what do you expect?
Yes.
But
the budget ran out real quick.
Real quick. You got a green screen? I got Adobe After Effects. Ah, fuck, you're in. They just hired some kid.
Would have taken a PowerPoint slide. Fuck.
Seriously, yeah. But this movie does get a lot of, I don't know, a lot of the special effects are great. Even the parts where like it has clearly, it's like not even someone's actual head, but it's like, a model of their head. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look fake at all. It doesn't look like a plastic or like rubber head.
Which is another reason why it baffles me that they couldn't look at the mummy dummy and the mummy.
Yeah.
And go, okay, these look a tad different.
Or even the Frankenstein monster. He looks like shit.
Yeah, he does.
I did not expect him to look like that. Can I see the box art real quick, by the way?
I think you get a better look on the back. Victor is building the body down in this basement of this old abandoned building next to the college. And you never see where the other body parts come from.
Yeah. All you know is that now he only needs a brain, apparently. He's already done. We're like looking at this at the very end of his project, which is good because if I don't want to see the rest of it, that movie would be 4 hours long.
Fuck.
As he collects various body parts. I don't really remember the order this movie came in. The whole time, we were guessing which is going to come alive first, the mummy or Frankenstein. The mummy or Frankenstein. Because they would cut back and forth to show the progress of these two creatures coming to life.
Yeah, so the Frankenstein's monster comes to life in the way, if you know the story of Frankenstein, you can guess it. Body parts collected, zap with electricity, and voila, there's the monster.
Yeah.
The mummy comes to life in a way that's kind of reminiscent of Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Because
let's talk about how the mummy comes up to life. Let's just talk about nothing but how the mummy comes to life, and then talk nothing about how.
So
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, let's just talk about the mummy, and then just talk about Frankenstein, because it jumps back and forth otherwise.
Yeah, it's a cross between the original Mummy film from the 1930s with Boris Karloff, and then it kind of combines Hellraiser in it. Because they break the seal off of the mummy's chest.
Yes. There's like a weird...
right before they do that, they're like, if you break the seal, you will undo the curse of Pharaoh whatchamacallit. And...
Ramses.
Yes.
Ramses.
The baddie does. The baddie does.
Ramses.
The baddie does.
The baddie does.
And, goddamn, I need to sit down and watch that episode.
I know.
They break it open, and he starts, like, fucking with the head of the vulture.
Creepy old professor. Because he's the only one there when he opens this thing up anyway. So he cracks open that stone off the mummy's chest. Gas comes out of it. It knocks this guy out cold. He's obviously being possessed by this guy now.
So the rest of the time after that, he's bringing people into the lab to be like, oh, check out this mummy. It's really fucking cool.
Basically.
And they're like, okay, whatever. Like, he tricks one girl to come in about an internship.
Uh-huh.
She gets killed. Bring in another guy. He gets killed. I forget why he came in. Other than, hey, dude, fucking mummy. Check this out. Poke him with a stick. and the mummy jumps up, like, would grab him by the throat, or just the doctor would slice her throat, whatever.
Yeah, it's really pointless as to, like...
who and why.
Yeah, who dies and why. The only thing that I think is kind of meaningful is the very first person he kills, and that's his lab partner.
Yes.
So he notices a stone he found. He's like, well, first of all, he walks over and the vulture's on the ground unconscious because when he got inhaled by that, when he inhaled the mummy dust or whatever that possessed him, he got knocked out cold. So he's like, oh shit, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I found this though. And he's like, oh wow, look at this. We don't have to turn this into a museum. We can sell it for millions. And he's like, I'm just kidding though, right? And out of nowhere, vulture guy picks up a scalpel, cuts his throat, pours the blood all over the mummy's face. Mm-hmm. And you see the blood get, like, absorbed by the mummy. And you hear a heartbeat start up again.
So it's like... it's like Hellraiser because this person would absorb the blood and become stronger through that. But then I also just thought of this show on Netflix that I was kind of watching with one of my stepsisters, The Vampire Diaries.
Oh, yeah.
There's this long imprisoned vampire. I forget his name because I was at first interested when I first saw him in prison. But then after he got released, I was just like, who gives a flying fuck? Because he turned into one of those teen drama kind of villains where he talks sassy as well.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that fucking shit.
Well,
but
don't worry about that.
He gets it from, or he gets powerful from people getting their blood drained right over him. So this is just like that. This is as good as The Vampire Diaries, if not way worse.
But like I said, though, lots of people get killed by either the vulture professor guy or because he's like the slave to the mummy or the mummy himself. But the only reason that it's important, the first death, is because it shows you that the vulture guy's being controlled by the mummy because he's the one that killed the guy, not the mummy. And also that he's like taking sacrifices to start up, to like become alive again because you hear the heartbeat start up after the blood. Everything else is just like kind of cool ways that the mummy kills people. Like he rips out this one girl's heart, the intern girl. He rips her heart out.
Pretty cool.
Like you said, freaking
Kalima.
Mumim Shabai.
Kalima Shokete.
Straight out of Indiana Jones' Temple of Doom, and he like takes a bite out of the heart too, and he just like he rips off a piece of the heart and feeds it to the vulture doctor. And
I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and he's just like, why are you putting heart in my mouth? You're
he's like, please, I have some humanity.
Yeah. And then another guy's a cop, but whatever.
Who cares about cops? I guess.
Seriously,
pigs.
But let's go back to the Frankenstein portion
portion
of how he becomes alive.
Oh, please.
So he saws the homeless guy's brain out, and he's like, all right, I got this brain. It's time to give it back to the professor. So he's got it in a Ziploc fucking freezer bag, right? Walks over to him and he goes, I got your brain. He's like, wow, how'd you get that? It's so fresh,
It's like, I killed a guy. What do you think?
And he's like, oh my God. Pretty much, right? And he goes, yeah, so that means I'm not asking $5,000 anymore. I'm asking $30,000,
Shit.
And now Victor's like, that wasn't part of the deal. And he's like, well, I don't give a fuck. I killed the guy.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not going to jail over $5,000.
And he pulls out a knife and says, I'll kill you too. I need that money.
So they have a scuffle.
Pretty much.
And the dude ends up falling on Victor, and Victor has a knife pointed up.
Yeah.
So he kind of kills him, but he kills him in self-defense, so it's okay.
Yeah, and to be fair, he killed the murderer or whatever. But, alas, during their kerfuffle, he notices that the brain in the Ziploc bag, it's been crushed.
So the bum died for nothing.
Yeah, and now Victor's like, oh, now how will I get a brain? I'm fucked. After crying for like about a minute, he realizes what everyone has already been thinking the whole time. Just use the brain in the guy you just killed.
Yeah.
That murderer janitor guy.
That saves a step.
Yeah. Pretty much he does. He takes the hacks out of that guy's forehead too. And by the way, why are they removing their brain the same way, like every time?
It seems sufficient.
I guess so. I never thought about how you'd remove a brain anyway. It just reminds me of Hannibal. When he's like eating that guy's brain at the table.
Oh my gosh. That seems pretty great because the whole time he's just conscious about it. He's just like, Bally.
Which is really horrifying, but either way.
Yeah, he's like picking a bit of his brain out.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, it smells good. And Hannibal's just like, oh, brain food.
I forgot about that. But either way, so...
He makes him eat it. He makes him eat his own brain. That's so fucked up.
I know. But anyway, He puts the brain in the Frankenstein. He's like, yes, I finally have all the body parts. Time to fire this motherfucker up. And alas, he goes, live, and flips the switch just like the goddamn old classic movie.
Yep.
And it's a it's a
say it
no,
out loud.
No, I don't know. It's just a Franken cliche, basically.
Oh.
It's the whole shit where he's like live and it doesn't work at first.
And then he just kind of cries for a moment and then it works.
Yeah. I don't know. He comes back the next day, I believe, is when he notices that it's alive. I'm not even sure.
No, I think it's a few minutes after.
Yeah.
He stays there all night because we get a conflict between him and Nyla because he was supposed to go on a date with her.
That's true. Yeah. The night that he has the brain and he's trying to get to live, he accidentally stands Nyla up on a date.
So she gets really pissed at him.
Yeah.
She's just like, I'm not talking to you. You just want sex.
Exactly. And he's like, no, it's not like that. I don't want you for just sex.
He's like, I'm just a busy man.
Yeah, and then he obviously can't tell her why,
Because that would just be freaking horrendous.
Yeah. I don't know. But other than that, when he initially wakes up Frankenstein, he chains him up, knocks him out with chloroform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he realizes it can talk. So his monster... I'm just going to call the monster Frankenstein. Is that okay? I know that's not correct, but...
Actually, it is correct. The monster should be called Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, exactly.
Not Frankenstein.
But I'm going to just call him Frankenstein because it's easier.
All right. Or Frankie Jr.
Suck it, Derek. I'm doing it this way.
Damn it.
So he chains up the Frankenstein. Whatever. Because he's not really even like a different being anyway. You later find out he is the murderer janitor. He ends up being him,
except just in a different body.
Yeah, because it is still his brain, just like you said, just a different body. But he's like, oh my gosh, he can talk, and he's like, he can read, and he's like,
I think of all the Frankenstein monsters that I've seen, iterations of, this one learned shit the quickest.
Definitely.
And I think it's just because they didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, and they're already an hour and 40 minutes in.
So how else is he just gonna become intelligent enough to start killing people?
Exactly.
With reason.
Oh my. So this thing, so he comes alive, whatever, blah, blah. And he's like, I want food, I want water, And he's like, you want food?
And the guy's flipping out like, oh, you want food? And he's like, yes.
He even writes it down.
he even says psychology at one point, and I was just like, ooh, big word.
Yeah. It's so dumb. But, yeah, so he goes on a food run. And I'm assuming that's actually when he runs into... It is when he runs into Nyla.
Yep.
Because that's when she gets pissed off at him for standing her out.
And so she never wants to see him again until she sees him again going down into the basement of this place.
She ends up accidentally catching him with a bag of food walking into this gutter weird basement. And she's like, well, that's weird. So she decides, what the fuck is he doing that he is so important that he can never tell me and he stands me up for? So she follows him into this dank-ass basement, basically. And that's when she catches him feeding Frankenstein, saying, well, you need to slow down, blah, 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 blah.
You can't digest this.
Yeah.
He's treating him like the soldiers did in World War II.
Basically, yeah.
The concentration camp survivors.
Don't eat so fast, right?
Yeah, you're going to kill yourself.
But,
and all this will be to naught.
I'll have to bring you back to life again. But anyway, so she makes some noise. He sees her there. He chases her out and says, don't tell anyone, don't tell anyone. She's like, if you don't let me go, I'm going to scream and I'm going to tell everyone. He's like, fine, whatever, bitch.
Yeah.
Get out of
Swerve.
Here. And then, that's when he realizes, then he's like, whatever. So he comes back down there to check up on Frankenstein. Frankenstein is not locked up anymore. He's not chained to the wall.
He's a free man.
He's a Franken free man.
Franken unchained.
He's a Frank Mason. Frank man. Frankenstein unchained.
Yep.
Franco unchained.
Oh,
sorry.
He breaks free. He finds, or no, he speaks to Victor, and he's like, "You need to get me out of this body because this body's Franken stupid.
Franken unbelievable." Yeah. So he, in a crazy twist, he chains Victor up to the wall, and he's like, "I'm gonna go get Nyla because you two are a thing, and if I get her, that means I know that you're going to do what I want you to do, and that is put me in a new body, because this one's ugly as fuck." And that's when Victor's like, during this, Victor's also like, oh my god, you the guy that I killed, you know? And he's like, yep, it's completely me, you know? This is my consciousness, you know? And you already killed me, so you owe me.
And then he's just like, you're a Franken asshole.
Yeah, pretty much.
And this is where we realized, you know, once he takes the brain out of that body, how will Frankie know that Victor will put him into a new body, you know?
Exactly. Like, if he has him down, he's just going to be like, fuck it, whatever. It's not like this guy can make, like, a time bomb that only he knows the code to or something, you know? He's not Bane.
Yeah,
although he dresses like a crow.
Yeah, he puts on the leather jacket. Everybody has leather jackets in this movie.
Yeah, seriously, this is like leather jacket. Like, I'm surprised the Mummy doesn't have a fucking leather jacket, seriously.
He has leather skin, it's close enough.
Very true. So
at this point, this is where we get our clash, because Frankie goes to find Nalia, and the Mummy wants Nalia because she can undo the curse.
Basically, well,
to set him free.
This is the weird subplot. The Mummy really does not feel like it's that important, because he's only outside of that. Did you notice he's only outside of that lab once, and that's during the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, he sees the Eye of Horus symbol on the necklace that Nyla's wearing, and he says to the Vulture Professor, "I want her, you know, because she can undo the curse for me." And sure enough, she actually does know how to speak ancient Egyptian.
Because of course she does.
Yeah, because of fucking course. So, like, she can actually talk to the Mummy. So when he tries to kill her at first to, like, force her to undo the curse, she's like, enough, you know?
Quit being an asshole.
Yeah, kill the Vulture guy for me to prove, you know, that you're willing to do what I want you to do. You know, and he's like, oh, yeah.
Do me a solid, so yeah. I do you a solid.
Yeah, he's like, she's like, kill him so I can undo your curse, blah, blah, blah. Mummy kills the Vulture guy, and then instead of being like, all right, you're my Mummy servant, she pulls out a .45 that the dead cop in there had on the ground, fucking fires some rounds into him and, like, starts running, right?
Mm-hmm. Bad mistake.
Yeah, and it's like, wait, you could have actually had that Mummy, like, help you, you know?
Yeah.
You had control of him. He was listening to you. But anyway, so she runs over to Victor, right, naturally. Mm-hmm. She's like, oh my god, I gotta get Victor. Oh shit, you know what? We forgot the scene where she gets contacted by Frankenstein.
Oh, she gets kind of pseudo-raped.
Wait, this is after she fights the Mummy, isn't it? No, it's not. It's before.
It's just before.
Yeah, I thought so. Why did she go to the...
That was her house. And right as soon as she left the house after being assaulted by Frankie, that's when Vulture Doctor grabs her.
Oh my god, that's right. Okay.
So she goes right out of the frying pan into the fire.
I forgot about that. Yeah, so... While Victor's being chained up by Frankenstein, we totally forgot. But
Victor didn't forget.
Yeah, I know. But Nylia's just chilling at her house. Someone knocks on the door, you know, right? And it's, of course, Frankenstein. Because he says I'm going to get Nyla, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, is that you, Victor? And then he sends her a text message through Victor's phone that says, it's me, open up. And she's like, why aren't you saying anything, you know?
And I figure he could have sent another text saying, I lost my voice.
Yeah, that would have actually worked, right?
Yeah, I'm a little hoarse.
Yeah.
I'm a little Frankenhorse.
I'm a little Frankenhorse right now. Maybe even just said that, like, I'm a little exhausted. But she's like, oh my god, that's totally not him. I don't know who it is. So she calls the cops, right? Cops are like, just wait there. And obviously...
Are there any windows unlocked? And she's just like, oh shit.
And there is a window wide open. And sure enough, Frankenfucker is right behind her and grabs her by the shoulders and pins her to her bed. And he's basically saying, like, you know, he gives the same speech to her that he gave to Victor, which is...
I want to get out of this body.
Yeah, I need you for insurance, that he's going to do it for me.
And then starts licking her. He's just like, I've not tasted human. I have not tasted a woman for a while.
Yeah, so now he's Franken raping her.
Yeah.
But she pulls a knife out of nowhere, out of the side of her bed, stabs this guy right in the side of the chest, starts booking it, and as soon as she gets outside... She gets sedated by...
Vulture Doctor, and then she goes through that mummy bullshit.
Yeah.
And then she escapes that.
Yeah, like we said.
And she gets down to where Victor is, or shoots his handcuffs off.
Yeah.
With the goddamn gun.
He's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, they're all after me, you know? And you know...
Everybody wants this.
Yeah, and she knew that Victor was in trouble because Frankenstein pretty much told him. Mm-hmm. And yeah, everyone does want it. She's a very attractive woman, though, so can you blame him? But anyway, So she pulls out the gun. He's like, "Where the fuck did you get that?" And she's like, "Shut up and back up," and like shoots a chain off of his hand. And,
which is very dangerous.
yeah, I expect. You know what would have been funny is if she's like, "Back up," and he's like, "Oh, why?" And he's like, "Shut up, no questions. Wait, don't do that." Shoots a chain, bounces off, hits him in the eye. He's like, "Oh god!"
It just drops. That would have been great.
She's like, "It works in the movies," but either way, so they're free somewhat.
And then Frankie shows up, starts...
No, I believe...
or the mummy shows up first.
Yeah.
Starts beating up on her.
Yeah, well, look, what happens is they're both together now. And yeah, like you said, the mummy shows up. And then they're like, oh shit, mummy. Fucking... They shoot him with all the bullets in that gun. Doesn't work.
Rookie mistake.
Yeah, mummy bitch slaps the gun out of his hand. Bitch slaps him across the room and grabs Nyla.
And then Frankie pops up, throws the mummy aside, and he's just like, "The fuck you doing, mate?"
Yeah. Oh, wait. But before... Wait, when does he stab him, by the way?
Oh, yeah, was it Frankenstein that stabs Victor, or is it the mummy that stabs Victor?
The mummy does all the stabbing.
Okay, so the mummy stabs Victor in the middle of this scuffle, throws him aside, right in the gut.
Well, that's what's weird. He slaps him away before he stabs him. I just can't... somewhere in this, he stabs Victor in the chest with like an old Egyptian tool, and Nyla tries to run away during that, and he throws a piece of like a sharp piece of something at her leg, incapacitates her.
Oh, it's that other... It's that same one, I think.
It's the same tool.
Yeah,
probably.
Stabs Victor in the gut with it, and then throws it, hits her in the upper thigh, and right in the back.
And that's when Frankenstein shows up and goes, "My assets! I've got to protect my valuable assets.
Otherwise, I'm going to go into debt."
Yeah, so now he's like, "You can't kill Victor. He's supposed to transplant my body, So now he's fucking fighting the mummy. This is the big fight. This is 1 hour and 50 minutes in, and now we're getting to the fight.
Frankie's going to show up and Franken fuck him up. So he's going to Frank the fuck out of him. And this goes on for a blazing hot 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Much like I imagine my sex life would be.
Oh my god, dude.
2 minutes in heaven is better than 1 minute in heaven, I'll tell you that.
Lordy. But I can't even, honestly, it's just like a few punches here and there, and then the Frankenstein grabs the mummy's arm, cuts his arm off with this blade, and then smashes his head in like he does like a headache punch and just completely pulverizes
he also
the mummy.
Pulls out the mummy's heart.
Oh my god, that's right, yeah.
Which is the only bleeding part of this mummy, because every other part is just dust.
Yeah.
Just falls apart like paper mache.
Yeah, well, like you see when he smashes his head in. He just claps his hands together and boom!
And I said,
dust.
That's bullshit.
It just does.
Because he pulls the heart out just before that, and it's just like this big oozing bloody mess.
Yeah.
So you'd think, like, when he's gonna smash him, I went, ooh, because I thought blood was gonna go everywhere.
Yeah, because it'd be
but
like
instead it's just like
brain or something. But that's because it's like magic or whatever,
Yeah, it's magic versus...
Yeah, this is when you had that realization, actually.
Science versus magic.
Yeah, this is truly, like, of all the movie monsters, this is, like you said, the science, Frankenstein, versus the magic, which is the mummy.
I made the comparison while watching this to the Avengers when Iron Man and Thor fight.
Yeah. And you mentioned that there was some preluding to this, too, because during one of their dates, Victor and Nyla talk about how Victor is kind of an atheist, almost Satanist, and how Nyla is open to the idea of religion, which personifies their monsters,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so this fight's over, and now Frankenstein's like, "Fuck, Victor's dead," and he's like, "You did this. It's all your fault, Nyla.
I'm gonna Franken kill you."
Yeah, and he's like, "If you weren't here, none of this would have happened." So now, for some reason, instead of killing Nyla, he starts getting in the mood again and tries to once again Frankenrape.
He's like, "I'm so fucking mad. I'm gonna fuck you."
Yeah, and he's trying to Frankenrape her like all the Franken time, man. It's ridiculous. But then Victor has like a second wind.
Because the power of boners is stronger.
Yeah, the power of boners is strong. And he pulls out a butcher knife, gets up with all of his might, and says, "Hey, Frankenstein!" Turns around, hits him right in the forehead with this butcher knife.
Kills him.
Yep.
And then he rolls over to die, finally.
Yeah.
And Nyla comes over to him and is just like, "Victor, please don't." And Victor's just like, "Nyla, I'm dying. Just burn everything down. Fuck this shit."
Yeah, don't let anyone know what I did here.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone what we did here, Nyla.
Yeah, no one no one should know. And so she burns everything down, and we get this little like epilogue kind of thing where one of Victor's students, who has kind of done his research on Victor,
investigates the fire, the burnt down building now,
and he goes in there and he finds this voice recorder, and it plays a session from when Victor is talking to Frankie about, like, it's the whole water.
Yeah, it's
water. You're saying water. Food. Oh, you're saying food. Now say cat. Psychology.
Yeah,
wrong.
It's a session where he's like, subject is responsive but aggressive, blah blah blah, and then he rewinds it, and then it
plays from the very beginning, which was like 2013.
2014
according to the
yeah.
According to the thing, he's just like, this is Victor Frankenstein. First time they call him Frankenstein in the whole goddamn movie.
And he calls himself that, because that is his name.
Yeah, don't wear it out. So, Victor Frankenstein, as if it was a big fucking surprise.
Yeah.
He's just like, January 2013, Victor Frankenstein, first log.
Yep.
And then it just cuts out.
And it's like his story will live on. But I don't know. This movie was so winded. I feel tired just talking about it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's so dragged on for what little happens. It's a waste of my time.
6 minutes shy of 2 hours and almost nothing to show for it.
I know, other than like kind of cool death scenes that are very brief, the shittiest fight scene you'll ever see, and characters that have so much character development you don't even think they're real. They act like... that's what's sad. They have so much time to develop their characters, but they end up being cardboard cutouts.
Yeah.
Of stereotypes and just like lovers being, cliches.
So, if you really want to see two horror icons duke it out, I suggest you go and watch Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah, Freddy vs. Jason. Because if anything, they actually fucking fight in that movie. I mean, shit.
Yes.
And
a lot of people say those aren't the best of either Elm Street or Friday the 13th. But yeah, it's not the best Elm Street or the best Friday the 13th, but it's still entertaining for what it was.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So I don't know. Let's wrap it up though, because I honestly can't think of much to say about this movie. So Derek, what was your favorite scene in this entire movie, and what was your least favorite scene?
Best scene. Let's see. Oh boy, I guess I'll have to go with the fight. Just because for what was there, it was okay, but I wish it was longer. You know, if they had put that from 2 minutes to 20 minutes, well, maybe that's a little long, but maybe make it at least 10 minutes. Yeah, that would have been good.
Even if they're just like punching each other, nothing magical or special. Even
for
if
all
it's
the
just
goddamn build up, man, we deserved at least 10 full punch 'em up minutes of it. But for what we got, it was pretty cool to see Frankenstein rip the mummy's heart out.
Yeah. Well, what was your favorite scene though?
That was the favorite scene. The least favorite scene is probably the one where they go out on the date, Nyla and Victor, and fucking they wrap up the date like, oh, they had a wonderful night. And then Victor's just like, can I tell you about my mother who killed herself?
Yeah. And
then they end up fucking afterwards.
And it's like, dude, not the right time to tell that story. She was telling you how good of a night she had. You had to be a downer. She still fucks him. Whatever. She still franks him right in the
Yeah, it's so like disconnected. It's almost like The Room kind of level. Like I don't know what to do about this chick. Oh, please, Mark, tell me about your sex life.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Mark. How is your sex life?
Yeah, it's just.
But let me tell you mine.
Terrible.
So my favorite scene was actually the scene I cringed at, which is when the janitor killed the homeless guy.
Oh yeah, that one was
because it was so gripping, because it didn't seem like, I just didn't expect it. I was like, oh no, please don't kill that guy, and he did. It was like, it twisted my heart. But my least favorite scene was the very first scene where Victor is having his class about psychology and stuff. It's so winded and so boring, but it gives you the best idea of what this movie's going to be. Because it's like 10 minutes of him just talking about bullshit.
Yep.
Not even any concepts that he brings up later in the movie or like anything that's a parable in this movie. He literally just... It's literally like a philosophy class for like 10 minutes.
The only thing that ever shows up again is the one student. It like does a close-up on him, and that's when I went, dude, this is going to be the Igor of the movie.
Exactly.
Or it's going to be the mummy guy.
We weren't entirely sure. But either way...
Kept making guesses, and we were proven wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
Which, that was just as heartbreaking as getting proven right.
So, yeah. Would you like to rate this movie now? I'm ready to rate it. We have the same rating, don't we?
4 out of 10 spooks.
Whoa, Jesus. You were ready to get this over with. I didn't even give you the preface of, like, Derek, out of 10 spooks, what do you give this movie?
4 fucking Franken spooks.
You see, you're just like, fuck it. 4 fucking fucking spooks. But you know what? I give it the exact same rating. 4 out of 10 spooks.
Because it's so, as we've said so far, it is so goddamn long-winded. It doesn't build up correctly to this end.
It would have gotten a 5 just for special effects, but then you remember how long it is, and then it docks another point, and then everything else is shitty.
You know why I don't give it the 5?
Why not?
Is because it goes ahead and calls itself Frankenstein versus the Mummy. When I know better that it should have been Frankenstein's monster versus the Mummy.
Well, that's just
that shit on a technicality makes me that's a pet peeve of mine.
I look past that simply because that's not what's. Excuse me, by the way. That's not what they're gonna call it ever.
Oh, I know they won't. That's why it bothers me.
The title bothers me too, though, but for a different reason. Actually, I'm sure it's a reason you have too. It's called Frankenstein versus the Mummy. There's only 2 minutes of fighting. I am very upset.
They should have just called it.
Two
Frankenstein expert, Mummy expert, sex it up.
Including 2 minutes of Frankenstein mummy fight. Like a little asterisk. And in the back you read like, oh, hey, there's a fucking monster fight in the very end. It's only 1 minute long, but let's give it a shot. Don't go into this movie expecting a fight.
Frankenstein, the monster, and the mummy. That's what they should have called this movie.
I know. Well, Derek, final thoughts?
Don't watch this. We watch these movies, so you guys don't have to. And it's funny that it takes a movie so obviously surface level awful to be our first negative review. Completely negative review.
I really wanted to like this movie, Derek. I wanted just like really campy, cheesy fighting.
I know you did.
Because my favorite horror stuff is like shitty werewolf stuff, like Teen Wolf. I love that shit.
We got super excited for Wolf Cop.
Yeah,
of course. So.
Wolf Cop looks dumb as fuck, but I want to see it.
Yeah, I remember when you sent that text earlier. You're like, "We're gonna watch the Franken one," and I said, "Yeah." And you're like, yes!
I know, I really wanted to see it.
And I looked at my text going, what the Franken fuck happened to his head?
He must be Franken retarded.
Franken delirious, man.
I don't know, Frankistic. But my final thoughts are, if you want a movie to talk over, or something to play in the background, I don't give a fuck, this is definitely a good movie. This is a good movie to sit down and make fun of while you're watching it.
A movie to just tear.
Yeah, and a lot of people do that. Like that's even like one of like the most like I don't know. That's like one of the quirky date ideas they have nowadays. Is like rent a shitty movie, talk about it, make fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, this is the Mystery Science Theater movie you should be watching. So.
Yes. If you're into watching bad movies.
Exactly. Other than that, though, it has no replay value. It has no value for, I don't know, viewing for entertainment purposes. You need to watch it with someone else, and you need to talk during it, because it's just so dry.
Yeah.
It made me feel like I ate a bunch of turkey and no gravy. This movie has no gravy, Derek. Gravy.
No groovy gravy.
Yeah.
Oy vey.
No Franksgiving.
No. Oh, man, that makes me think of Thanksgiving.
No, Derek, no.
I know.
But anyway, next week we are going to be reviewing Death Dream for the continuation of Resurrection Month.
They come back from the dead to haunt our dreams, whether we want it to or not.
Yeah. But by the way, you mentioned that this movie was actually a pretty good fit for this month either way, simply because it had both the resurrection of a mummy and Frankenstein.
It was a double whammy.
Double resurrection.
But then it ended up being a double disappointment.
Double shit. Yeah, double disappointment. Anyway, but yes, join us again next week where we will be reviewing a much better movie. But until then, we'll see you next week.
Whether you like it or not.
Bye, everybody.